Welcome back to Chaos Corner. It's your old buddy, the Guardian of Chaos, Big Daddy, and I tell it like it is. I'll say that to say this. Live to tape for show number 15 here in the bowels of Chaos Corner. Now, I know it's loud in here. I know there's a big distraction. Let me turn that down. So, fans, stand by. Hold on. Live to tape. Show number 15. Chaos Corner covering everything Survivor Series tonight. I believe it's the 34th annual Survivor Series. We have a lot to go over. We're going to cover the history of the Survivor Series and different matches that have stood out throughout the years. And then obviously cover the 30th anniversary tonight of The Undertaker at the 34th Survivor Series. You're not going to want to miss it. Chaos Corner. Stand by, please. Stand by. I know we're on Twitter. We're going to bounce over to YouTube. Hit my profile link on Twitter. That will bounce you over to the Guardian of Chaos YouTube channel. And, of course, my boys over at the show, and that's at Mario_Chaos. If you're not following them, I don't know what you're doing. They're there to put you over. I can't stress it enough. Here on show number 15, we're only a couple of days away from Thanksgiving, so I'm thankful for all of you leading into the holiday season. Let's stay safe. Let's stay strong. Let's stay patriots in the United States of America, if that's the message I could put out there. So in about, 20 or 30 seconds, we're going to bounce over to Guardian of Chaos on YouTube. I'm thankful for everyone. Continue to follow, like, subscribe, retweet, spread the word. WWE Survivor Series, who knew? But since I'm such a historian, I really want to get into the history tonight. Live to tape, same day coverage of the pay-per-view event on Chaos Corner. Don't you dare miss it. I'll say that to say this. Music and everything. Stay tuned. We're going to YouTube. Welcome back, fans. I know I said I was going to turn it down. Show number 15. I don't want to cut them off in the middle of the music. I don't know how professional that is. Here, 10, 12 feet below the surface of the earth in the bunker known as Chaos Corner. I can't thank you enough for all being here. As I said in the opening, my opening monologue, if you will, of course, I'm prepared with the halls. Chaos is looking good. I have the Red Bull for a little energy here on a Sunday. I haven't been here in 4 or 5 days, but I did an excellent podcast with the Professor Rick Del Santo over at PWZ. Check out his YouTube channel, like, subscribe over there. We did about an hour and a half covering Survivor Series and Impact and AEW and everything you could think of. Slippery when wet. Let's lower that. So show number 15, go over and check out the Professor and the DVD Kid and the Beast over there at Pro WrestleZone. We had a good, coverage recap preview of what's going on in the IWC here at Chaos Corner. A lot of lighting changes and different camera angles still going on here. This is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the history of the Survivor Series here tonight. We'll keep it under an hour. I want to get this up there so you fans can see this in the IWC before the pay-per-view tonight. Again, a couple of days away from Thanksgiving. Everyone stay safe. Be with your family. Do what you think is in your best interest. Be smart. Be an independent thinker. I can't stress that enough. We're going into the winter, and it's not going to be a long, dark winter, much like to what people want to think and want to say. It's going to be a bright, sunny winter, and we're all going to be together. United States of America. That's another show for another time. This isn't the Green Room. This isn't Unmasking the Truth. This is Chaos Corner, although I love those shows. Maybe if we have time, we'll talk about Wrestling with Anything But podcast and the platform they have over there with Avi Klein. But let's get on to the task, so to speak, at hand. Here at Chaos Corner, show number 15, live to tape. All right, help yourself. Have a coffee. Can somebody throw me a bottle of water? Can you do that? Thank you. That's what happens here. Unique, unedited, unscripted. Show number 15. Give me a second, fans. Survivor Series in the unbelievable history. I believe this is year number 34. The first Survivor Series, 1987? Let me get to my notes. 87, maybe after the second or third WrestleMania. Somebody help me out there. If you want to email me, you want to leave a comment, you want to DM me, inbox me on Twitter. It's at Big Daddy G.O.C. We already said that. The Guardian of Chaos. Don't forget, on Rumble, on Parler, on Gab, on all those different platforms, on YouTube, on Facebook now and then, just to dabble. I don't like the censorship and what's going on with the big tech companies and drug companies. Let's not get into that. I promised I wouldn't, but it's a part of reality here in 2020. So I'm glad you hopped on board. Spread the word. I do appreciate it. So I believe it was 87, if I'm not mistaken, about the first WWE, thank you, first WWE Survivor Series, WWF back then. We have to stay hydrated here at Chaos Corner. Thank you guys for staying in here. So before I get to tonight's card of what I have across my timeline here at Chaos Corner, I would like to get into some history of Survivor Series. Again, the first Survivor Series, 1987, based around that whole Hogan-Andre feud of the middle 80s, leading from WrestleMania 3, obviously 2 and 3, especially WrestleMania 3, the big event at the Silverdome. That's how the Survivor Series came out of that. And they used the Hogan-Andre of making money and putting asses in the seats to start the Survivor Series when we had the original 4. I said this with the professor. I've said it on other shows, on other podcasts, on other YouTube channels, on social media platforms. The Survivor Series, SummerSlam, the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, those were the big 4 WWF pay-per-views in the 80s, leading into the 90s. They transitioned from one into the other, and you see what it's become here, 2020. Greed, a mirror image of our society. Good for the boys, but really, where are we now with oversaturation? But that's not what we're talking about. So it was 87, WrestleMania 3. Just think about that back then. That was the golden era. Those were great times. So I want to talk about the certain matches and years of Survivor Series. We have a long history of, if it's tonight the 34th with Undertaker's 30th anniversary. So I'm going to call out some different ones that stick out that I've done some research on. We'll start off in ones that I wish they didn't leave and get rid of this concept. They no longer do it this way. They haven't done it this way in 20 years. If I'm not mistaken, and that would be the 20-man tag team matches at the Survivor Series that they had for the couple years running of 87, 88, I believe 88. I believe 88 was the last year. 87, 20-man tag team match at Survivor Series, and they don't do this anymore, and this is when I enjoyed it, and this is when I was more of a fan than I've ever been in my life as someone who's been an insider. Here's the 20-man tag team. Look at the people on the roster you had and what the WWF was doing creatively back then when wrestlers were running the business. Strike Force, obviously Tito Santana and Rick Martel. The Young Stallions, Paul Roma and Jim Powers. The Fabulous Rougeau brothers. Brian Blair and Jumpin' Jim Brunzell, the Killer Bees. Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid, the British Bulldogs. Of course, the Hart Foundation of the Anvil and the Hitman. The new Dream Team, if you remember at that time. And that would be Greg Valentine and Dino Bravo. Because the Dream Team was Brutus the Barber, Beefcake, and Valentine. If my memory serves correct. I mean, I'm as bad as Jim Cornette sometimes when I always say, pencil neck geek or the brain of a dehydrated baby, to quote famous people from the past. So I'm pretty sure that's who it originally was. The new Dream Team here in 87, Valentine and Dino Bravo, they were with Jimmy Hart, Slick, and if you remember, Johnny Valiant, Johnny V. One hell of a stand-up comic. So look at the names in that. It was a 37 or 40-minute match. They don't do it like that anymore. All people in that ring that were legends, tag teams. What a concept. And they have dropped the ball in the WWF. Let me take the F out. WWE. That's just my opinion. Let's go on to the next year as we cover the history here of Survivor Series. 1988, another, again, 20-man tag team match. And this is where I have to do my research. I believe this was the last time they had the concept of the tag team Survivor Series. They also went well over 40 minutes in this match, according to my research. I went to a couple of different sites and different people that I trust. Listen to the tag teams. You had the Powers of Pain, the Warlord and the Barbarian. You had the Rockers, obviously Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. You had the British Bulldogs, the Hart Foundation, the Young Stallions against Demolition, Arn and Tully when they were the Brainbusters, the Bolsheviks, which was Boris Zukov and Nikolai Volkov. Again, the Rougeau brothers. They were definitely a mainstay in the 80s in the WWE, and all the stars that have come north of the border, a lot of stars from Canada. And again, WWE had a home office in Canada for years. I believe that's where the fall president, no, not Trump, Jack Tunney was from, WWE president, and the fall commissioner of the NAWA, which was me at one time. So it's the same concept, if you get what I'm talking about. Hey, I tell it like it is. I'll say that to say this. Back to the task at hand. Again, against Demolition, Axe and Smash, we know that. Brainbusters, the Bolsheviks, the Rougeaus, and the Conquistadors, who went that year as Uno and Dos. They had everybody and their brother. This is when they were using the old school managers, which is what I respect, what I like, and what I molded my character after. And after all these years, what's gotten me into 2 different Hall of Fames. That's right, still wrapped in chains. And will continue to wear this as a representation of my life and what's going on in this country. So understand that. Don't come at me for it. Oh, but if you want to, it's okay. I respect everybody. I don't like winter either. So if you look at that, Mr. Fuji was there as a manager. Okay, Bobby the Brain Heenan was ringside. Slick, Jimmy Hart. Just look at what they did to the business and how they have gotten the manager out of the business, which is something really, really had hurt my career in the middle and late 90s, especially. But to me, that was timeless back then. Again, over 42 minutes. Now, look at those 2 tag team matches, 20-man Survivor Series. That's when Survivor Series, like I always say, that's when New York was New York, or when Vegas was Vegas, or when Hawaii was Hawaii. This is when Survivor Series was the WWF and the Survivor Series, and you know what I'm talking about. Other ones that stick out in my mind, we'll jump around here on Chaos Corner. Live to tape, show number 15. Hopefully it's just part 1 and we don't get cut off and have to do it in 2 parts. We're having a lot of fun. Preempted over the last couple of weeks and did a couple of different appearances, but a one-man show, unique, unscripted. It's what you get here. No edit button. Yes, we have people running around. I have a couple of people helping me, but that's more or less to keep me hydrated and keep me in check in case I get a little too chaotic. No Oakleys this week. I got a lot of emails. People want the Oakleys. They want me to give them away. That's not happening, fans. Back to history of Survivor Series. Tonight on pay-per-view. Do you remember 2003, I believe? My research, fans correct me, leave comments, DM me, like I said, and I won't take offense. Team Austin and Team Bischoff. How times have changed. Jericho, Christian, Randy Orton, Scott Steiner, and Mark Henry against Shawn Michaels, Rob Van Dam, Booker T, Bubba Ray, and Devon the Dudleys. That wasn't that long ago, although it seems like eons ago. That's another Survivor Series that stuck out to me in 2003. Here's another big one that I thought was, for the time, unbelievable. Survivor Series had only been going for a few years. Team Piper against Team Flair, 1991 Survivor Series. You had Roddy Piper, obviously. Bret the Hitman Hart, Davey Boy Smith. They were with Virgil because of the whole falling out with the $1 Million Man. And Flair had the Mountie, DiBiase, and the Warlord with Mr. Perfect at that time. And again, I can't stress it enough, of all the managers and how it was such a big thing at one time to have a hype man, a pitch man, a manager, old school. And I couldn't agree with it more, seeing that that's what I did for my career. Jimmy Hart was ringside, Harvey Wimpleman, the sensational Sherry. I mentioned Mr. Perfect. It was a great match. You look back and you see it on YouTube, or you go back and you look on the network. These are matches that I've viewed over the last month leading into this that stick out to me. And a little research from guys that I trust, their research. So those were a couple, again, those 20-man tag team matches in the late 80s leading into the early 90s, I believe were fantastic. Here's one that was early on in Survivor Series. I kind of thought it was a joke, but there was the Royal Family, if you remember that whole 1994. Let me give you a time frame and a perspective. 1994 versus Clowns Are Us, the Royal Family and Clowns. You know who the Royal Family was. Do your research. Google it, DuckDuckGo it, whatever it is that you want to do. It's public information. It's out there for consumption. Chaos can't do everything. Honey lemon, sugar-free. It feels so good, I'll tell you. On the pipes with hydration, it doesn't get better than that. So back to 1994 Survivor Series, the Royal Family against Clowns Are Us is what it was called. I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. And it was, you remember the angle, maybe you don't, Jerry King Lawler, and he had all his little minions, sleazy, cheesy, queasy, dink, pink, wink, whatever all that means to Jerry King Lawler. That was, really didn't appreciate that, but that's where we were in the early 90s for the WWF. More of a gimmick. It was entertaining for the kids, I guess, when it's a rated G. I mean, it stood out, especially after I saw it. I was reminded of 1994, and because of the connection with Lawler, I had a chance to work with him many times. So again, a weird concept there in '94. I don't know where they were going, but if you understand the era, you'll understand the concept of what Lawler and the storyline was then. 2001, the elimination match. This might be the last time they had an elimination match to this style in WWE Survivor Series. 2001, if I'm not mistaken. I put the timeline together with 9/11. This match went 45 minutes. Listen to the stars. And it went on to give big momentum to other grapplers who had left that were involved in that match. Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, and you'll get to where I'm going. It was The Rock, Y2J at the time, Chris Jericho, Undertaker, Kane, and The Big Show. Imagine that team. It's 2001. This is already 20 years ago, fans. IWC, if you will. They took on Stone Cold Steve Austin, RVD, Kurt Angle, Booker T, and Shane O'Mac. And the difference about this is Shane O'Mac was not a wrestler at the time, but he paid his dues, he trained, he emboldened himself, he took a lot of risks, and he's respected now as one of the boys. How could he not be? I mean, come on, look what he's done. This match went 45 minutes. And now, if I keep mentioning the minutes for certain matches, I say that because most Survivor Series matches don't go over 30 minutes. You go 35, 38, 40, 45 minutes with the storytelling and psychology, which is tough to tell in a match of that type, then that means the match was going well. So Jericho turned on The Rock and Taker and Kane in this match. Angle turns on Austin and RVD and the boys and Shane O'Mac and really pushed those two on into their careers and where they went as single stars and legends with Angle and Chris Jericho. So well written, a lot of ring psychology and a lot of star power. This is when I believe the pay-per-views and the business itself changed a lot. I'm going to say 2001. We go back about 20 years. That's when I really started. Maybe 15 years were really changed. Remember, I was still active up until 07, 08 as a manager and working, with a lot of legends, but seeing a lot of young stars and lions. And I saw it trending that way with the luchador Japanese style, just different high risks, but I always thought about the longevity and the health of it. But you could see it trending. I didn't think it would get this far. You look back with the storytelling, the reason I mentioned this, the emotional investment, the psychology of what goes on in these matches and these stars and how they told the story and were allowed to tell it creatively as compared to what happens nowadays where you really have chains on you. And no matter what part of life on, including the WWE. I'm just saying. I'll say that to say this. I'm just saying. Show number 15. We're coming up on Thanksgiving. Be thankful for everything. What happened to my girl here? Oh, boy, I tell you. She really is, looks over me here. It's like a little angel. I try to block it out. I don't want to censor it out. It's a work baby. So those were some Survivor Series moments that really stuck out with me as I read and researched through video libraries. I talked about Team Austin, Team Bischoff, the 20-mans, Team Piper, Team Flair, the whole Jerry King Lawler. 1993 Survivor Series. Bret Hart, this is why this one sticks out to the Guardian of Chaos, and I'm sure it will to the fans too. Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Bruce Hart, and Keith Hart, all with the legendary Stu Hart, take on Shawn Michaels, and again, another gimmick match. Remember where you are to the era, 1993. We said 94 with Clowns Are Us, the Royal Family. Shawn against the Hart family, the Hart Foundation, if you will, versus Shawn Michaels, the HBK, the Red Knight, the Blue Knight, the Black Knight. Very gimmicky for the time, just like I said previously, but all great performers, Hall of Famers. Now, in case you didn't know, under the hoods, who do you think it was? Answer? Anybody? Question? Who teamed with Shawn Michaels in the 1993 Survivor Series against the legendary Hart family? Red Knight, Blue Knight, Black Knight teamed up with Shawn Michaels. Anybody? If you email me with the correct answer or inbox me on Twitter at Big Daddy G.O.C. or my boys over at Mario_Chaos, I will get you a personally autographed 8x10 New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. It's up here somewhere of the Guardian of Chaos himself from last year. And you could take it and do whatever you want. You could, throw darts at it. You can give it to the kids as a gift. You can make your friends happy, or maybe you could just pin it up next to your legendary Farrah Fawcett photo from back in the day. I know I'm getting a little nostalgic. Under the hoods, if you can get back to me. I'm going to say it anyway. We're 20 minutes in here. Show number 15, Chaos Corner. Live to tape. I gave it a little bit of time. Greg the Hammer Valentine, Barry Horowitz. Wait for it. Anybody? I didn't think so. Jeff Gaylord. Those were the guys under the hoods that were Red Knight, Blue Knight, Black Knight with Shawn Michaels against the legendary Hart Foundation. 1993 Survivor Series. 1995, and again, matches that stick out to me in the history of 34 years of Survivor Series as we come up to tonight, the 30th year of The Undertaker, and what's going to happen tonight and all the big matches, which we're going to run down. 1995, these legendary women all hooked up for Survivor Series. Again, think of the era. Alundra Blaze. That's the name I'm going to have a problem with after you listen to the rest of the names and how I pronounce them. Really? Alundra Blaze? Great woman grappler. But listen to these names. I'll refer back to Bully Ray and Busted Open Radio and what he said to me 20 years ago. You guys get it if you're a regular here. Alundra Blaze, Kyoko Inui, Saiki Hasegawa, Shaparita Asari. Konnichiwa to all my friends in the Pac Rim over in the Orient, over in Japan. I love all the gaijins, you know that. Versus Bertha Faye, Asia Kong, Tomoko Watanabe, and Lioness Asuka. Think about the legends that were in that match as far as grapplers, and then throw in that they're female grapplers. 1995 Survivor Series for the WWE. Unbelievable lady grapplers. Go back and do your research and history. That's why this one sticks out to me, because of all the international stars. We're going to really go back now. 1990. The $1 Million Dream Team, or the $1 Million Team, versus the Dream Team. This is The Undertaker's pay-per-view debut. Hear me again. The Undertaker's pay-per-view debut. Pay-per-view debut. I like that. He teams up with Ted DiBiase, the Honky Tonk Man, Greg the Hammer Valentine, and they all have, again, managers. Think of the time, the era, 1990. Virgil, Brother Love, and Jimmy Hart. I love you, Brother Love. You can't write worth a shit now, though, on creative, can you? No offense. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Think about the manager aspect of it, and that's why I say that. Now, they went up against the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, Coco Beware, Bret the Hitman Hart, and the Anvil Neidhart. Look at the legends and stars that were created back then by the creative and the team in the office as compared to how long it's been since you've had stars created by the current company in the last, what, 10 years, 15 years, 20? Who, Cena, Daniel Bryan, now hopefully Roman Reigns finally? I mean, who Rock, Stone Cold, Hogan? I mean, back then I could, in the 80s and the early 90s, middle 90s, I could have named 30 guys that were stars, household names. Now, can you? Can you? Really? Okay. Unbelievable matches with unbelievable stars. That's my point. It's like music in the music industry. The music from the 60s and the 70s and the 80s is timeless and will last forever. And from 30 years from now, your kids and your grandkids and everyone will be listening to it. You won't be listening to the current day stuff now. I'll tell you that. Who knows what's going to happen? Here is another unbelievable Survivor Series. I know I use that phrase a lot. Team Hogan and Team Andre. Just imagine this. Andre the Giant, the one-man gang, King Kong Bundy, Hacksaw Butch Reed, Rick Rude with Bobby Heenan and Slick. Again, remember the era, the time frame, the years. All the managers against Hulk Hogan, the Magnificent One, the original Rock Don Morocco, Paul Orndorff, Ken Patera, and Bam Bam Bigelow with Sir Oliver Humperdinck. Sir Oliver Humperdinck. So just look at the time and the era and the extras and the voice men and the pitch men and the role of the manager and how critical it was and was phased out. I mean, that's what happened. Valets came in, TNAs came in, and what did it add? I mean, I guess that was great in the Attitude Era, but what did it really add? I'm not talking about the female athletes. They're in a different category. They're wrestlers. But you understand where I'm talking about as we cover here on show number 15. We're coming up on almost a half an hour. Survivor Series history on the 30th anniversary of The Undertaker tonight. Live on pay-per-view. And then, of course, 34 years in the making here, Survivor Series. So we're running through history. Some unbelievable matches. The halls. Where's it? Where are we? Thank you. The Red Bull. Because we're going to pump this up and get it out on social media before the event, because we want everyone to have a lot of fun with this. I also remember roles that stuck out, and even recently, you'd be a little surprised, because this is basically when I stopped watching the product altogether, but Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series 2005, where Randy Orton was the sole survivor, and the only reason why Orton was there, if you know your history, again, anyone? 2005, Raw versus SmackDown. Why wasn't Randy Orton? Anyone? Bueller? Here it is. Again, email me. chaosbigdaddy2@yahoo.com. Inbox me on Twitter or on Parler or over at the show. Eddie Guerrero, unfortunately, had passed away, and that's why Randy Orton was the substitute for 2005 Survivor Series. It was supposed to be Latino Heat, Eddie Guerrero. So there's a little history for you, 2005, and why it would stick out and something that you would want to mention, and I would want to mention here on Chaos Corner. 1990, again, remember the era. The Warriors versus the Perfect Team. Again, I found it very entertaining. Very hard-hitting, this bout. Legion of Doom, Mr. Perfect, Kevin Von Erich. Then the Mega Powers versus the Twin Towers in 1988. 30 minutes, hard-hitting. The stars, Hogan, Macho, Dan Spivey, Twin Towers, Undertaker. But 1990, Warriors versus Perfect Team, I enjoyed. 1988, Mega Powers and Twin Towers. Again, Warriors versus Perfect Team didn't go that long, but what a hard-hitting match as I watched that on a network. I couldn't believe the amount of, and maybe you put it up to being who the Road Warriors are and who they are and that kind of team, about their style of work and strong style, but Check that out for 1990. Also, Mega Powers, Twin Towers, just because of the names and the history. And it wasn't The Undertaker because he wasn't even here yet. So what are you talking about? 1988. Mega Powers, Twin Towers. Let me get my facts set. I referred to it briefly. Bully Ray said it to me in the locker room 20 years ago, at least a couple of times. Give the Guardian of Chaos 6, 7, 8 spots. He'll screw up 6 of them. I like that. I consider that a compliment. It's part of my resume. Woo! 2008 in the history of the Survivor Series. Team Orton versus Team Batista. Randy Orton and Batista again. 2008 was starting to get out of it. They didn't really make these guys into anyone yet as far as being the names they were. You see who they are now. The interesting part here is that Cody Rhodes and CM Punk were both involved in this bout. 2008, go back and do your research, Survivor Series. Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. And look where Cody is now as the boss, basically, in AEW as far as creative and what he's done in the business and what he's contributed back. And then CM Punk and all the controversy that surrounded him coming back and forth and back. Wild card match, Survivor Series 1995 sticks out to me because of all the legends, all the names. Everyone turned on everyone. This was a match in 95 that stood out and, again, went over 30 minutes. And with the names, this was one of the more unique ones in 95. Think of the era and the time frame. Shawn Michaels, Ahmed Johnson, British Bulldog, Psycho Sid against Owen Hart, the late, great Yokozuna, Razor Ramon, and Dean Shane Douglas. This one stood out to me not only because of the names, but because it was just a free-for-all, and you didn't see many like this as far as the 30-something years that I reviewed through to bring you fans this review. Very interesting, that stood out to me. So go back and research the years and the dates and the talent that I'm giving you. And when you get some time, punch it into YouTube or go to the network, and you'll see that you'll get back and say, Chaos, you know what? It was dead balls on. I got to give you a lot of credit. We already talked about all the hearts in 1993 and who were under the hoods. We talked about the legendary ladies in 95. $1 Million Team and the debut of the pay-per-view Undertaker in 1990. Team Hogan and Team Andre. What else have we talked about as far as history? I want to make sure I get the nice history out there of Survivor Series because that's basically one of the 4 that I grew up on, fans. I say it to you all the time and how it's saturated now and how much it's different. And let's look at this right here. I think we talked about Team Austin, Team Bischoff. Yes, we covered all this. So let's get back on. We're 30 minutes in, a little over 30 minutes in. This is perfect timing. This will be easy to download, upload, and get out to you fans for consumption and have some fun with it today before you get to the pay-per-view tonight. Survivor Series. Here we're in Chaos Corner, show number 15, and 30 minutes in, he'll say, oh, why'd you wait so long? I can't wait 32 minutes. I got a long ride to work and up to the company. My old buddy, Mr. Hempel-Stilskin at sweetheal.com. If you're not using CBD products and a part of the CBD wellness is CBD life, and especially in the Constitution state, shipped out to anywhere in the United States of America, locally grown, locally owned, legally licensed, small business entrepreneurs, Sweet Heal, sweetheal.com. Mr. Hempel-Stilskin, I can't say it enough. If I go a day without it, I don't feel right. And it's legal. And it's the wave of athletes and healing and inflammation of the future, from tinctures to balms to edibles to bath powders. You wouldn't believe the products at sweetheal.com. CBD. Mr. Hempel-Stilskin. Yes, so I got you in there. A Red Bull, they haven't picked up on it yet, Mr. Hempel-Stilskin. I'm trying here. Here we go. Here is the lineup tonight that I have. Again, if you have something different, I didn't get any last-minute updates. I was too busy doing the research for the history because I find that to be more important because I really don't like the current product. I don't watch a lot of the current product. I don't want to get off subject here. The big one, a lot of titles versus titles tonight. We covered this briefly on show number 14. We ran down Survivor Series. I covered a lot on PWZ, Pro WrestleZone podcast with the professor. So here's what we have. We'll start off with the Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series just to get in the mode of the team matches. Again, it's not like it was, fans. History is not on its side, and all the different things that have happened over the years, the business just isn't the same, especially for me. But I enjoy it, I respect it, and I like giving back to the fans. It's my way for those who paved the way before me and to give back. Plus, I'm having a lot of fun. How could you not? Talking reality TV. I'll say that to say this. Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns. We covered it briefly. The tribal chief and what he just came out of with his storyline with G.O.C. and the Usos and his family. I hope it continues somewhere. Drew McIntyre, it's his second title reign. We talked about how it was transitioned from Orton. Who knows if they're trying to pad his stats to challenge Cena and Ric Flair's title reigns, but that's neither here nor there. Tonight, Drew McIntyre, the current WWE champion, takes on Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman for the Universal title. This one is worth the price of admission alone. They're coming from the Amway Center tonight in Orlando. We know that. We're during COVID, pandemic, Thunderdome. I get it. This is the times we live in. I'm trying not to get onto that. So here we go. We'll go to the team matchups, as I said, but I wanted to put out the big one first. I believe that'll be could be potentially the game stealer. McIntyre and Roman Reigns, two guys that are huge beasts that look the part, live the part. And when you walk into arena or you look on TV, you're going to say that is what a professional wrestler, a fighter, an athlete is supposed to look like. I'm not saying they're using them right creatively or the storylines. I don't agree with any of that. Team Raw, Keith Lee, AJ Styles, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Bro, Riddle. The former Matt Riddle is now just Riddle. So who knows who's going to show up and maybe be the Joker or Spider-Man or the Penguin. So who knows what they're doing here. That's the Raw team. They're going up against the SmackDown team of KO, Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, King Corbin, Seth Rollins. Who knows where they're going with him. And an opponent to be named. This is what I don't like. I mentioned it on show number 14. I mentioned it on Pro WrestleZone. This is what I don't like. In the history of the business, and when you go into a big pay-per-view and there's supposed to be a lot of information, a lot of stars, you don't wait till last minute like Vince McMahon always does to put in the names. You put out the product. You promote it the right way. You let the fans know what they're going to be watching. You get them emotionally invested. You make them want to come watch what you're doing. If I can get this, I don't understand. So that's what you have for the men. It ought to be interesting. It ought to be chaotic. No pun intended. Here's the women's matchup, Raw and SmackDown. It's going to be Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Lacey Evans, Peyton Royce, and Lana. Been thrown through a table, 9 times? Do you think she gets thrown through a table tonight to make it a 10th time? It won't be 10 weeks in a row, but for the 10th time? That's the question. We'll have to look back on this. Do you think Lana gets thrown through a table tonight? They take on Bianca Belair, one of the fastest rising stars in the business, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and then 2 ladies, 2 divas, 2 grapplers, 2 talent to be named. I don't understand it. You lose the selling power and the viewer power to not announce what other stars are going to be in on these matchups. That's my opinion, especially when it's traditionally supposed to be the Survivor Series. So you only have 2 matches as it is, as far as teams. More titles versus titles. I'm looking forward to this one, too. The Raw Women's Championship, Asuka, who I think is one of the best in the world, if not the best, against another lady who I think is one of the best, SmackDown champion Sasha. Asuka versus Sasha, title versus title. This right here, again, I'll say it again to use the cliche, is worth the price of admission alone. It will be an unbelievable matchup. Just my opinion. Stand by. Speaking of Sasha and Asuka, in tribute. Honey, relax. Please. Sorry, guys. Now my wife will see this and say, "Oh, what are you trying to do? It's a work. It's a gimmick. Get it?" Asuka versus Sasha, going to be an unbelievable matchup. And then this is where I think the WWE is way off and have been for quite some time. The tag team division. That I can do a whole show on the tag team division in World Wrestling Entertainment, whether it be on Raw or SmackDown. Tonight, title versus title. The Raw champions, New Day, take on the SmackDown champions, the Street Profits. Now, this will be entertaining. They'll be coaching you along in Thunderdome and telling you who to boo for and who to cheer for and who to have energy for. They're all talented. I respect everyone who gets in the ring, all talented guys. They obviously deserve being there. They're obviously well qualified, well versed. Street Profits versus New Day for the titles. Fans, you figure that one out for yourself. Very great athletes, pure athleticism, if you will. Again, title versus title, the monster physical specimen, Bobby Lashley, with the U.S. Championship, will go on against Sami Zayn, the IC title. I don't know where they're going with this, with the title versus title. It seems to be the theme with Survivor Series. So here's my predictions, which I got wrong on every show I predicted on last time for the WWE pay-per-view, because I don't really cover it a lot. I'm informed of it. I'm aware of it. But it's not necessarily my wheelhouse, but I'm enjoying it and starting to get back to where I was years ago with it, which will probably never happen. But it's all about content, baby. And brushing up your game is stepping up, being old school with a new school. Chaos twist. Not a purple nurple. I'm not saying that's what you get. Not a purple nurple. I'm not trying to give anybody a purple nurple. Those aren't good for you. Undertaker farewell, 30 years. Okay, his first title was in 1991. Just to throw out some history and facts, the Undertaker's first title, I believe, at Survivor Series was in 1991, if I'm not mistaken. So that's basically the card. There's going to be a couple of surprises, and we're not sure of some talent that's going to be on the complete roster. But that's what you have here on Chaos Corner number 15, covering tonight's WWE Survivor Series pay-per-view, talking Raw, SmackDown, everything in between. I do have a lot of other information in regards to AEW Dynamite and Zelina Vega and excuse me, fans. The sinuses are crazy. Can I just tell you? Right now, being under the bowels of... I know. Can I just tell you? So you wonder what's going to happen if I look at other outside people that may be involved tonight, since we still have a few minutes. Where will the Hurt Business be involved tonight? Does Bray Wyatt or Alexa Bliss have any impact or effect? And nothing's come across my timeline here a few hours before Survivor Series on what may be the Fiend and the Firefly Funhouse and Alexa, if they're going to be a part of it. I'm not sure, to be quite honest with you. Retribution, what's going to happen with them? Are they going to be around Survivor Series? You notice that they have to keep the talent at bay. Although Florida's wide open, they still have to social distance and different things for that. But the theme tonight for the pay-per-view is the final farewell from Survivor Series for The Undertaker. So 30 years. So that ought to be very interesting and worth it alone, just for the history of it. I don't know about the entertainment value or the matchups. Different things. We talked about the Go Home show on last episode and what they were doing. McIntyre's 2 different reigns in the pandemic era, not in front of a live crowd. It's not going to be the same. Let's see what they do to build up the energy, to make the atmosphere at the Amway Center, to see what they're going to do to fire up everyone, as you know that a lot of whatever's going to happen tonight will lead over until tomorrow night into Monday Night Raw, and see what the fallout show is going to be after Survivor Series. This is something that I used to be very, very honestly pumped for back in the day, as far as one of the 4 original pay-per-views, not only when I was in the business, but before I was in the business, and just as someone who enjoyed the sport and sports entertainment. So, live to tape, Chaos Corner show number 15, talking the history of the 34 years of the WWF WWE Survivor Series, and tonight's lineup card. And just in general, there were a lot of good memories, and this was one of the original 4 at one time. So fans, we kept this, we're coming up on almost 45 minutes. If you want to hang out for a minute, I have plenty of time to put this up. It's live to tape, same day coverage. So if you want to hang out for a few minutes, that's basically what I have here for Chaos Corner show number 15. I want to thank everybody. I got a lot of things going on. Fans, you know that I'm not currently on the Patrick Dino Ryan show on Chaos Corner on Thursday nights. That platform is temporarily on hiatus due to scheduling conflicts. Nothing more than that. Again, I couldn't thank him enough, and I had a lot of good times and good exposure and good conversations there with my old buddy Patrick Dino Ryan. So hopefully I'll be back on that platform in 2021 because his platform is unbelievable. I was supposed to be last night on the green room with Avi Klein with Wrestling with Anything But to do part of the preliminary jury selection in the trials of who's going to be the host, Mickey Doyle, Howard Colato, or David Holliday. I did not get a chance, but I did see some of the regular viewers on there, like whether it be Michael Barr or J.C. Farina or Hector or Shannon Ravel, a lot of the different people, and even Mickey's alleged daughter, Miranda, and all the different things that are going on. Again, I said it before, it's like a cross between the green room. The green room is like a cross between an old Saturday Night Live skit and Second City Television. So that's why I enjoy it. And I was supposed to be on, but for whatever reason, it's always something technical. I keep telling people down here in the bowels of the earth with the Wi-Fi, the cable, the connections, underground, the different things that are happening, I couldn't get on. I couldn't get on the live stream to be on there to interview Doyle and David Holliday and Howard. So I'm a little bummed about that, but that's okay. It was a great show. I will continue to follow on there. But let's take a little break. We're coming up on Thanksgiving. We're a few days away. So I want to say happy Thanksgiving to all my friends and family and followers. It means a lot to me and for you to keep your faith. And that's why I just used a bunch of F's. In a good way, though. And just stay positive, stay upbeat. We're into the winter solstice. We have Thanksgiving. We do have a lot to be thankful for. And then that's going to lead us right into the holidays, and which is a special time for our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and to be spiritual and to be with your family and have your faith and be positive and try to give back and be there for people, which leads us into the new year and hopefully something better coming down the road, because it's all in the bigger plan. It's all in God's plans, and then you take care of what you can take care of. If it's you can't control it, you can't control it, but you can control how you react to things. And in different sayings and things that I say here, when it comes to respect and making things happen, they're not just cliches, they're a way of life. So I want you folks to keep that in mind. We're just hanging out here on show number 15 of Chaos Corner. We covered WWE, the history of Survivor Series, and then we're just kicking back right now, having a drink. Red Bull, sugar-free. Going to see if I can, obviously, you fans know I always throw out there that you have to hydrate. You have to stay mentally fit, mindful, physically fit, spiritual, emotional, and have your Lord and Savior, and be a good Christian and be a good person, and let people have their own opinions. We can agree to disagree, but make sure people are honest and respectful. And affinity is no substitute for respect. And I've said that many, many times. And I've also said this to other people when it comes to respect. In order to get respect, you have to start with respecting yourself. Once you do that, you open other people's minds to respecting you. And again, I know it's a cliche and I always say it, but there's 3 types of people in this world. Those who don't know what happened, those who wonder what happened, and then insert name, usually mine, that make things happen and not giving up. It doesn't matter if you're 20 or 30 or 50 or 60 or 75. Continue to do what you do and be thankful and be spiritual and be the best person you are and put your best foot forward, because that's what life is really all about. And don't give up. Continue to live your dream, whether it's a hobby. Just make sure that you're happy and you're honest with yourself and you're honest with other people. This is what I bring to the end of the show, is try to make it a little more enlightening. And this also helps me. So content creators, those who follow me on all social media platforms, I certainly appreciate it. Stay strong. Thanks for staying here the extra time to hang out and to put up with my nonsense. I certainly appreciate it. And again, stay strong, stay powerful. The United States of America, the guardian of chaos and Chaos Corner. I appreciate you guys. Continue to stay here. Hit that bell. Wait for my shows to come up. Follow me on Twitter and all the other social media platforms like Gab and Parler. And I keep telling you that, and YouTube especially. Follow my boys at the show. You'll understand what I'm doing, when to be notified, and all the different big, exciting, positive news coming out of Chaos Corner. Show number 15. I can't thank you enough. And we kept it well under an hour. I've been studying the analytics. Most people don't go too long into this, but I appreciate it, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Be thankful. And I'll see you on the next episode. Chaos Corner. I'll say that to say this. Don't you dare miss it.